Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the ANZCAR Cup 24/7 Sim Services race here at Richmond Raceway. It's round 23 of 36. We are getting towards the chase. We're getting towards the tail end of the year, and we are racing here tonight at the very tricky D-shaped oval of Richmond. I am joined by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going tonight?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me back again this week, mate. It looks like it's going to be a nice little tricky race tonight with the cars being a bit squirrely.
Yeah, I think heat is going to play a big factor tonight on the cars, and especially on those rear tyres. It could be one of those races where it's a heat-sensitive one. It's pretty warm out there at the moment. Also joined up by Mr. Matty Hunter. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, going good. Good evening, all. Yep, looking forward to some squirrely action on a track temperature of 46 degrees at Richmond. So it should be pretty good short track racing.
46 at Richmond is very warm indeed, and as you say, short track, so that's going to be a lot of energy going through those rear tyres. Of course, these things got 750 horsepower behind them. It's going to really be hard to keep those rear tyres cool, and I think that's going to be the key for getting this race result.
Yeah, I think so. Um, a lot of these teams, even in real life, are struggling with these low-profile tyres. They're just heating up so much quicker than the old tyres used to, and that's what's catching everyone out is the actual low profile tyres. Um, it's going to be the guys that can just play the patient game tonight, I think.
Going to be interesting to see indeed. And just before we get to the race, we've got a couple of minutes, so we just quickly look at a points table because it is Dyson in the lead at the moment for the top 10 in the chase, with Pearson just behind him, Hobson in third at the moment, with Martin in fourth position, Micklemore in fifth, Foster in sixth, seventh is Skurlock, Phelps is eighth, ninth is Hedishide, and Trahair in 10th. But that little battle for the 10th, the coveted 10th spot in the chase is actually pretty close. And I think we're going to see a few drivers really, really wanting to get in there. There's a few big names that haven't got in there yet, and they're going to be really, really trying to get into the chase and hoping they can actually lock themselves in to that top 10. Or will we see 11 drivers in the chase again? We've had it 2 years in a row where we've had the old double finishing points in P10. But will we get it for a third year in a row? Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll just have 10 to worry about.
Yeah, let's hope so. But what I want to do, Carl, is if we can get Maddie to tune in on Maddie Raymond's car. He's supporting a new livery tonight, and it is really a well presented car tonight. The Mr. Sheen car.
I
Yeah,
just noticed that.
I saw this earlier in practice and thought it looked pretty good. I was going to highlight it as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a good scheme. And he's one that I think he's probably a little bit too far out to make the chase at the moment, but he's definitely one person that you've got to keep an eye on. He just floats around the back and he's thereabouts like Mr. Norman Clark.
Yeah, very much so. He's had a really good season, but it's not all come together. Of course, there are some drop rounds to come into effect as well. But let's run through the grid for tonight's race. So it is Daniel Heddershire taking pole position tonight. Great job from him, just on the inside of Dyson in second. Then we have Hobson and Micklemore in the second row. Third row is Skurlock and Foster. Fourth row, we have Barry Neal and Russell. Fifth row is Martin and the returning Lachlan Urquio back from Europe and back into ANZCAR. Then on the sixth row we have Stevie Dub and that man we mentioned before, Mr. Norman Clark, hoping to storm his way through the field. Seventh row is Dortnack and Koch. As we head over to the eighth row, it is Trahair and Nankervis. Moving over to the ninth row, we have a quite unwell Mr. Ruben Phelps with Paul Jackson on the inside of him. Hopefully Ruben will be quite well through the race. Neil Pearson rose up on the 10th row next to Maddie Ray himself. And then we have Gary Wellman and Tompkins towards the back of the field. Don't be surprised to see if Pearson might start the race and pull into pit lanes. He's having some technical issues with his pedals, unfortunately. They reared that ugly head, so hopefully that's all fixed and we'll get to see him race through the field tonight, because he is having a really good season at the moment. But if he's not too sure about those pedals, then he's not going to really risk having a big accident, I think.
Yeah, it reared its ugly head last night in the ANZCAR Brickyard 400.
Yes.
It was quite a big accident last night for him. So hopefully he's been able to sort them out tonight's race, and as you said, Carl, we will see him charging through the field.
The pace car is about to come around for its second lap here. It's of course a double warm up here at Richmond because it is such a short track. So they get their tyres up. Yeah, the Pearson incident last night, I actually managed to get into the car for the first time in a long time, and he was on my outside on the restart, and then his pedal got stuck in, and I just saw him shooting off in my rear view mirror, just behind me, about a millimetre away from my car, and gave me a nice big fright. So that was always fun.
I don't know. I think the weather last night at Indy was almost the same as here. So I think we're going to have the same issue as we did last night with the cars being very taily. Just can't heat those rear tyres up.
Yeah, it's going to favour those drivers that are just a little bit softer on the pedal. As the pace car comes in, we get ready to go green here for round 23 of the ANZCAR Cup Series. Brought to you by 24/7 Sim Services, and green it is, and away they go. Header Sheet gets a really nice start there on the low line, getting ahead of Micklemore. Russell's trying to make his way through at the moment, trying to push his way up through the field as it stands. He manages to get underneath Dyson at the moment. Sorry, Hobson, that is. Hobson gets past Dyson here. Will he be able to hold it down into turns 3 and 4? Looks like he might have it done at the moment. He's sitting down low at the moment, gets a nice move there. Going to get on the power quickly and gets through. He's going to try and hold that position as long as he can. Look at Micklemore behind him as well. He's looking to make a bit of a move. Hobson gets that move done. Pearson has indeed come into pit lane, unfortunately. A sad thing to see. Hopefully he can get that all fixed up soon, because we'd rather see him out on track than having to take it into pit lane early on. But great start up the front.
Yeah, definitely great start there by Header Sheet and Hobson in the second. I think you find Dyson will just be playing the waiting game. He'll wait till the end of the tyre life. Now there could be a big difference in tyre life and fuel life. I'm hearing the guys can get about 110 laps out of a tank of fuel around here. So anyone that can make their tyres last for a full tank will be sitting in a great spot, I'd say.
That's going to be the hard part of this race, is keeping those tyres alive and in a working condition, because you can sort of, if you go too hard too fast, sometimes you can almost ruin them in the early stages of the stint. If you go a little bit slower to begin with, they come back to you. So that's one of the weird little foibles of these larger rimmed tyres, and we're seeing it in all forms of motorsport now. They're switching to the bigger rims, of course, and the low profile tyres in NASCAR, of course, also in Formula One. And it has really changed the way the cars behave and the way the tyres behave as well, and it's taken a lot of time for these drivers to get used to driving on low profile tyres.
Yeah, definitely. And they heat up so quick. That's what I can't get over, is just how quick they do heat up. Even on the super speedways, they tend to heat up very quickly, and it's hard to get the temperatures back down.
Yeah, it can take a good couple of laps for those temps to fall, and it's unlike the sort of old, sort of nice big thick tile-walled versions. They take a lot longer to cool down, and you really have to drive them almost softly, like driving on an intermediate sort of set of tyres, and just go offline and just letting them cool down as much as possible. It's a really strange experience in these cars.
Yeah, definitely. Just having a look here, Ed Foster's been able to get underneath Josh Micklemore for fourth place.
Yeah, he's moving up nicely at the moment. Foster, 2 positions gained. Jaden Russell also on a bit of a move as well. He's up 2 spots. The biggest gainer so far has been Luke Traher. He's managed to get 4 positions in this race. Starting down in 15th spot, he has moved his way up into 11th at the moment. He's sitting just behind returning man Lachlan Urquio, who is running in 10th at the moment. Started 10th, running 10th. Nice to see him back though. So hopefully he'll have a nice quiet evening tonight and a decent finish.
Of course,
Yeah, Oh, sorry, Matty, go.
Lockie's returned from a trip to the UK where I believe he might have been testing for McLaren, to get a seat in the McLaren like everybody else at the moment.
Oh, I don't think that joke's ever going to get old.
Well,
But
it's
which McLaren? I mean, it could be an IndyCar McLaren, it could be a Formula One McLaren. Who knows these days?
it can't be a coincidence that he's been over in the UK for a little while, and he's come back and now there's all this driver movement.
Yep,
Yeah.
only a matter of time.
I was talking to him earlier, and he's saying he got back like he raced last night, and he's back to work today. And I was talking to him earlier, and he said he's absolutely shagged.
Yeah.
So let's hope he can last the distance.
Indeed.
Pretty good battle there between the Mr. Mustache, Josh, and Jaden Russell. Nice little battle, and Barry Neal's joining in the back of that little pack battle group there. So I have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I've been watching. Josh is sort of dropping back a little bit, but Jaden's been getting a little bit taily off the corners.
Nice little battle there.
So he's got to wonder what that's doing to those tyres, though. Whether that's going to sort of hurt as the run goes on, if he's hitting those tyres up too much. And Skurlock's just there in the 350, just stalking, waiting for his opportunity to pass.
Yeah, just got to watch him in that mo. He might get his nose up and give a few people a tickle with that moustache.
Indeed.
I'll have his chin on the rim, getting ready to give the old mustache tickle. I'm just watching a little bit further back. Interesting to see a few drivers just really sort of, I'd say off pace, but they just seem to be protecting the car a little bit at the moment. They're not that far off in the overall time, but they're just lapping a little bit slower than the rest of the field. People like Norman Clark, Maddie Ray, Noddy Tompkins, Paul Jackson's a little bit down there with Jamie Curvis. They're racing a little bit harder. Jackson up into the wall there. Just managed to save that one, I think, for Paul Jackson.
I'm just seeing a little bit of a battle here with Foster and Dyson for third spot as well. Foster's on the inside, looking to try and make it stick and get a good run off the corner to get the pass done.
Dyson having that high line, just getting that little bit better drive off the corner, and then Foster's catching him back up in the mid corner. But I think Dyson might be on the move now after a bit of a slow start. But Foster is going to be putting all of his effort into making sure he can't pass him, because we know that Foster likes to race and he will be trying his best to give that. But if Dyson could just manage to get the overlap, I'm sure he'll slam the door shut. Just behind him, we've got Russell and Micklemore also starting to get into battle. So we've got fights all across the field at the moment, but I think the Dyson and Foster battle is probably the closest. Foster just getting an edge though. He's just got ahead now, Dyson. Oh, he's just trying to squeeze up there. There's not enough room. Just a little bit of rubbing front panel to rear panel there between Foster and Dyson.
He's just trying to get clear there, wasn't he? And it looks like Dyson's going to try a crossover move, and it's going to keep battling.
I think Foster may just back out and try and stick on him there. I was talking to Ed through the week, and he was saying that he wished he could have some of the luck come over from the other leagues he's been running in. Like he runs with the Warriors on Saturday night, both in the 87s and the Cup cars, and he's had some good wins there. But he hasn't been able to get the wins that he'd like here in ANZCAR. So let's hope the luck starts to turn for him heading into the chase.
Well, it's been a tradition of his. He's sort of had a slightly quieter main season, and then chase comes along, and then all of a sudden it all links together. So, if you're going to have it all come together, that's when you want it to that's when you want it to happen. Meanwhile, Skurlock is having a bit of a battle with Barry Neal at the moment, trying to get past each other. Not succeeding at the moment, but Neal's just trying to run that low line. Skurlock's a little bit more in the middle. He's able to sort of hold a good position to keep the defence going on there.
Yeah, definitely trying to stick that low line, and no one's been real adventurous apart from Dyson and Foster to get up into that mid track and the mid track. And as I say that, someone else is up there in the mid track. Skurlock.
Yeah, Skurlock sort of looks like he just sort of rolled it high there. He didn't really want to keep battling with Barry Neal there, so it looks like he took the high line and is letting Barry Neal and Jason Martin in the purple 21 pass, and he now has the 42 on his tail.
Up the front right now. Heddershot's got Hobson all over the back of him right now. Hobson is putting the pressure on the leader, and Heddershot's just struggling a little bit with the rear end. It's just getting a little bit wobbly on the exit sometimes. He's just getting that little bit tail happy, and Hobson is able to take advantage of that. He gets a nice run into the corner. Heddershot just got a little bit loose on the exit of that last corner. That gave Hobson a little bit better run off the corner. Has a little bit more speed. Heddershot's still able to run the speed across the D section of Richmond, the front curve, as you say, as they get onto the back straight. It's where the back straight seems to be catching Heddershot out a little bit. He's just a little bit slower out of turn 2, but then able to carry a little bit more speed on the exit of turn 4. But Hobson's got a good run here on the high side. They are really battling out now, and this could be the opportunity for Hobson to take the lead here tonight, as he gets a really nice run up on the high side here. Does he manage to slot it down? Not quite yet. Heddershot still on that low line, has to take a slightly tighter line. He's going to lose a little bit of speed here, and Hobson's going to make the move stick.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that higher line is starting to come in for the drive off the turns. So it'll be interesting to see how many people get up there and start to use that.
And I've just been looking at some of my lap times, and a few drivers are starting to come alive now and starting to get a little bit better pace in the cars, and a few are starting to slow down a little bit. So interesting to see the drivers that are really pushing hard early on. They seem to be just struggling that a little bit now. Maybe the heat soak has gone through the tyres a little bit, and they're starting to struggle. Whereas some of those drivers that have had a slightly slower start are now coming back to the race. So good to see that one. There's a battle going on between Dortmund and Traher at the moment. Those two battling out for 12th and 13th position. Mirko, one of the BMX bandits, battling out with Traher, a fellow bandit, in the Way Down sponsored after Nightcrawler Racing entry.
And he's got Ruben Phelps coming up on the back of him as well, so that's a good run for Ruben so far.
Very nice run for Phelps tonight, who is not feeling the best, so it's never fun trying to race when you're feeling a bit unwell. It makes things a little bit harder, but he's having a good run out there tonight and doing a good job. So there's been a bit of a break up towards the front, so down towards 10th. There's a big gap down to Stevie Dubb, who's sort of in no man's land at the moment in P11, and then Ruben Phelps leads the charging pack towards the back. So there's been a bit of a split up. Got Mirko Dornak coming into pit lane, and it looks like he's made a bit of a mistake on that one, as I think that might be Mirko just pulling out of the race as he's caught the car, unfortunately. So that might be the end of his night. We've also got Tristan Koch coming in.
Yeah, and seeing Luke Traher is running in a bit slower than he normally would as well. He's about 2 seconds off his best lap time on that one. Not sure if he's fuel saving maybe or not. Seems a bit weird.
Tristan's actually getting a service. Guys, he's taking rights at the moment. He's just taken rights, so I'd say it'd be a top up with fuel and just right side tyres for Tristan.
Interesting call there. We're quite early on, with 33 laps in, we've still got 117 to go. Of course, you are limited to 4 sets of tyres in the regulations, so you can only you're going to get 3 sets to change during the race. Of course, you get the set you start on, and then you get 3 sets that you can use throughout the race. So he's decided to go a bit early on a new set of tyres, but that will give us a nice little idea of pace with those fresh right side tyres. They're the ones that are going to be hurting the most, and usually they sort of it sort of balances out a little bit quickly once you start getting running, and it's not too tricky to run. but he's definitely got a bit more pace than the guys around him at the moment, from the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely. He closed up very quickly on Luke there, so it'll just have to wait and see if he can get those tyres to work for him.
Yeah,
As we see him take the position. Oh, well, hasn't taken the position down, but he's got past Traher, and Traher's in the pit
Trehay's in as
lane.
well.
I'll just keep an eye on him and see what he does.
Trehay was very slow. I thought he might have been fuel saving to try and make it home on without stopping, maybe if it went green, but something's a bit odd.
Oh, we've got 4 pretty wide across the start finish line between Russell, Urquio, and Neil. It is very tight. Urquio got forced right up in the high line. Russell gets caught in the middle. He's going to come out worse in that one. Neil manages to hold it. Jason Martin manages to avoid that possible incident there. They were really running hard across the start-finish line there, 3 wide. This group's fallen right off the back of Josh Micklemore, and they are racing very hard. And I'd say the reason they've fallen off is because they're racing so hard with each other. They're just falling off with time. They're just absolutely hemorrhaging time at the moment, as Barry Neal has a big blink there. Okay, manages to get up into the lead of this group, up into 6th position.
Just an update. I'm watching Luke, and he's still in pit lane. He's taken 4 tyres and fuel. So maybe he's touched the wall somewhere there and trying to get some damage repaired.
Yeah, either that or I'm thinking maybe an equipment issue that he's having to sort of fix or sort out. But yeah, it's very weird. He was slowing and having a lot of trouble, and now he's been sitting in the pits now for well over a minute and a half.
Hopefully not a cat-related issue again for Traher. But no, a shame indeed. It's never fun when it's a technical issue that forces you out of the race. Meanwhile, Jason Martin looks to be making a move at the moment. Martin is starting to get some inroads up behind Barry Neal, and Martin is trying to make a pass. He's trying to just doing some little probing attacks at the moment. Seeing where he can actually make a move. Urquio's managed to pull out a bit of a lead from this group as well. So I wonder what's going on with their tyres, because it seems like a few drivers are really struggling out there, and others are working a lot better. And it seems it's sort of really split the field up.
Yeah, it's the big difference. Like as you've seen, like Tristan was in lap 31, I think it was, and like some of these guys are just slowing up a little bit and really looking after those tyres.
Yeah, that was, as I said, watch out for the Norman Clark and Matty Raymond early on, because they sort of had some good pace, and them and Ruben Phelps are starting to really break away from the back. They were a lot further down the field than they currently are. They've managed to work their way up. And I wonder if that's just because they've been looking after their tyres in the early stint, and they've just managed to keep a little bit more rubber on there for the latter stages. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out.
Just having a little bit of a look through the field for some close battles. We've got Micklemore on the back, Micklemore in the blue car, 31, in 5th place, fighting Edward Foster in the 53 for 4th.
And just behind.
It's always the way when you try and talk, you all of a sudden need to cough.
Always a guarantee. Just a little bit further back, Michael Skurlock's under pressure from Stevie Dubb, but we got the move going on here from Foster and Micklemore. Micklemore getting a great run down the inside and just sends that and absolutely gets that one stuck on there. A beautiful job from Micklemore.
I think that might be a case of the 31 has taken it a bit easier at the start of the race and dropped that back a few positions, and I think Ed might have been caught out a little bit by going too wide with Dyson for a number of laps. I think that might have just taken a bit more heat of his tyres up a little bit too much for him.
Yeah, he's still got some okay pace. He's still in the 24.6s. The leaders are 24.1s at the moment. But he is sort of he's struggling a little bit. Of course, he was battling with Micklemore those last few laps, so I'm sure he'll get back onto the action. Behind him, we've got Martin making a move on Barry Neal, and he makes that one look easy. Martin getting underneath Neal at the moment. Neal's going to come back for the attack, though. O'Neill absolutely sensing that he can maybe get this position back, and he's going to want to try, but he can't quite make it stick at the moment. And this is giving Urquhart a little chance to get some breathing space, which he'll be happy with just in front of this group.
Paul Jackson just toured the pit lane. Looks like he's taking tyres and fuel.
48, which is sort of on the sort of two-stop sort of strategy-wise, which possibly isn't a terrible idea, especially with the heat out there tonight. And if you are struggling with those tyres, as the leaders come up on Noddy Tompkins there, Noddy just had a little bit of bite. Just a little bit of a moment off the exit of the corner. They caught him up very quickly, but everybody gets through there nice and easily. So it's Hobson in the lead over Heddershide and Dyson at the moment. They've pulled out a little bit of a gap from Micklemore and Foster, who has got Paul Jackson just in the middle of them on fresh tyres. So Jackson's going to be wanting to sort of take advantage of those fresh tyres, but not take too much life out of them as well. So we'll see how his pace is. He was the fastest car on track last time round with a 23.3. So that just shows the advantage of those fresh tyres. There's a good 2 seconds difference from fresh tyres to these warm tyres now. So obviously there is a big pace advantage, but he is a lap. He's 3 laps down at the moment. Yeah.
That's the problem with a green flag stop at this track. You will go 2 laps down under green. So if you do pit early, you really need it to stay green to try and work your way back with that 2 second lap advantage.
Indeed. And now Oakley's got the car of Jason Martin on his back, 21, and he's all over the 42 at the moment. So
Had a bit of a moment off the corner there. I'll see if I can jump back and have a little look and see what happened there for him, because it looked like he got a bit squirrely off the corner.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like he's spun up his tyres a little bit, I think. And yeah, I think that's it. It just got a little bit heavy on the accelerator and the back end stepped out on him. And now Martin's actually got past. So Martin has made the move. Again, okay, it's just struggling with that rear now. It's just getting a little bit loose on him. And I wonder if he's used up a little bit too much of that rear tyre. It's just got a little bit hot and now he's struggling.
Yeah, and pretty smart driving there as well. He didn't put up too much fight with Jason there. He knew Jason was going to get the pass done sooner or later.
As Paul Jackson gets a lap back, only 2 laps down now. So he's managed to get past the leaders, and that's an important move for him and sort of, something that could help him out. Meanwhile, we've lost Jaden Russell from the race. Just noticed that.
Luke Trahare's actually pulled out, so he's actually, I'd say you're right, Matt. He's had a technical issue and hasn't been able to resolve it.
Russell has just dropped out, so he has just lost connection, unfortunately. So it was a connectivity issue. Yeah. And I think we'll just see him disappear into the shadow realm, and that is it, unfortunately.
Hey, Foster's in pit lane.
So the first of the leaders to come into pit lane on lap 57. So this is bang on a 2-stopper. So Foster coming in now. He can make it to the end technically, but I don't know if the tyres will. So he's decided to roll the dice early, come in now from, a relatively decent spot, you would say. Is he going to change all 4 tyres? Looks like he is. So it's going to be all 4, and that's going to drop him right down. I think we might be seeing Heddershide coming in as well shortly, because they've caught up to a big group of traffic, and I wonder if that's just I wonder if Foster's just sort of spotted that and decided to come in now, banking on green flag racing. Of course, when the leaders catch up to traffic, there is always that risk of a caution coming out, but it can really pay off if the leaders get caught up in that traffic, because they're going to be losing a lot of time as they try and carve their way through. So a bit of a risk there from Foster. We'll see how that one paid that. And of course, he will be hoping that we don't see any of those dreaded yellow flags coming out. And that's going to be his plan. Meanwhile, when will the rest of the leaders decide to come in? Are they going to try and go for a single stop? Is it worth trying that, or is it a situation where it's best just to keep it out there, keep on track, and try and make it the full race distance on a single stop?
I think maybe a little bit of gambling as well. I know if it was me in that situation, I would probably be thinking that I probably don't really have enough to run with the top guys on old tyres, so I'll roll the dice at this point in the season. I'm locked in pretty much to the chase, so I'd roll the dice and go for a two-stop strategy and see if it pays off.
Another driver with connectivity issues as well, some kind of issue for Michael Skurlock, as he has disappeared into the Shadowverse as well, unfortunately. So it seems like the storms around Australia at the moment are playing havoc with a few people tonight and their connections, which is a big shame. Never fun to see drivers going out because of technical issues. We would much rather see them out on track than going out of the races. So a big shame there to lose Skurly.
And he's having a really bad run with bad luck, isn't he, really? He's having VR issues or internet connection issues. He's having a real bad run.
Mirko's dropped out also, so I know I'm in country Victoria and we've got storms floating around. You were saying earlier, Carl, you've got storms over there in Adelaide.
Yes, and I think it's been a bit of a rough one at the moment for a few people with the old weather, and it's never fun.
Lachlan's in pit lane.
Lock on the next
Not too surprised. He was really struggling with the rears on that car, so I'm not too surprised to see him coming in sort of slightly earlier.
To give you an idea of the difference in the pace, Foster, the first driver with fresh tyres, last lap 23.1, and Hobson, the leader of the race, on 65 lap old tyres, 24.528. So about 1.5 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, there is a bigger difference in the times, and say if it remains green, this could play into Foster's hands. But it's whether he can make it to the end from when he stopped, of course, and if those guys can catch him towards the latter stages as well on those fresher tyres, it's sort of banking a little bit on the undercut sort of strategy, trying something different here tonight, and as we say, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You just got to try it sometimes.
Yeah, Foster's actually doing really well. He's
just catching up to Dyson now.
He dropped down to 16th, and he's now back up to 10th. So he's definitely the person on the move.
He is, and he's just about to take his teammate Nolan Clark. So he is the first car. He's the first car a lap down at the moment, I believe. So
and he won't be far away from unlapping himself from the leader.
Yeah, he's just about catched Hobson. Just in that screen there, you can just see it now. He's going to go absolutely sailing past Hobson, and that has worked out well for him. He's now on the lead lap at least, so he's one of 9 cars on the lead lap at the moment.
And that's what 1.6 of a second, 1.6 seconds a lap difference looks like, basically.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, his last lap was a 23.05, and the leader Hobson was a 24.5. So, yeah, a big difference when it comes to short track racing.
You'll be able to see here from out the front of Hobson's car. You can see that car disappearing. That's Foster's car on its fresh tyres. 1.6, 1.5, 1.6 seconds a lap quicker.
So a couple of different strategies coming into play now. So that's going to be interesting. If we do go green, having those different strategies on board, always fun. It's always nice we get different strategies in a race because it really can change things up, and sometimes it makes it harder for yourself. Sometimes it can be a stroke of genius, but we've still got 79 laps to find out how this one goes. We're not even halfway yet, so we are getting there. It won't be long until it is the 50-50 assistance, and I imagine we'll be seeing the leaders coming in once we get to that sort of stage, or they'll just keep it out as long as possible, hoping for a pace car, for the caution to come out. So some people might stick it out to lap 100 just in case there is that late caution, but I think we're going to see most people coming in around about 2 to 5 laps.
I was just going to say, ask you, Carl, you've been a racer yourself and Matty. So Ed's pitted early to try and get the undercut. Should there be a caution now, do you stay out, or do you come back in and take tyres and fuel to get yourself back onto the same strategy as the leaders?
I'd personally get tyres and fuel.
Yeah.
You're only going to be, ninth, and it's just going to cancel out your strategy basically that you've taken already. You're just going to reset again and be on the same lap as the leaders really, and just have a straight shootout.
Yeah, you've got to come in for tyres now because he's lost about half a second in pace on those tyres now. So if you stay out there and just hold position, you're not going to gain anything because the leaders are just going to go straight past you and you're just going to fall down the charts. So it's a definite come in for fresh boots and just come in and do it. But of course, what Foster will be hoping for is it staying as green as possible, or at least as green until everybody else has come through pit lane, and then he has track position.
Yeah, and essentially he's just passed Stephen Williams for ninth and Ruben Phelps for eighth, and he's stalking on the back of sixth. He's pretty much back to where he was. He was sitting around that fifth spot, and the difference is he's got 19 lap tyres and the leaders have got 76 lap tyres.
Yeah, so he's probably sitting in the car and praying for green racing to the end.
Yeah, I think so, because he's certainly flying up.
Mick Martin in.
Yep, I was just going to say both Mitch boys are in.
So that's both the Mitch cars in. That's obviously their time to go. 73 laps remaining now. Of course, these guys are going to have fresh tyres to the end of the race, of course. So I think they've seen Foster where he is and they've decided, look, we need to pull the pin now. If the race remains green, we need that time to catch up to him as well, of course. Because that's the other thing, is you need the time to catch up to him towards the end of the race.
Wellman's in. I think we may start to see the big flutter of pit stops, as you said, Carl. That's within that 5 laps.
I imagine we might see at least 1 or 2 people try and stick it out for as long as possible, just hoping for that caution. You might see somebody like Phelps or Williams try for that caution, just sticking it out as long as possible. But maybe one of the leaders as well, maybe a Hobson or a Dyson trying for it. But I think we're going to see most of them coming in the next lap or 2. So at the moment is Hobson in the lead, and he has got Dyson all over the back of him. Hobson gets a big snap of oversteer on the exit. The rear tyres just lit up, and he's coming straight into pit lane. Hobson is pitting. So he just lit those rears up on the exit of the corner. He had that big snap, and he decided, yep, this is time to come in. Those tyres are shot, and that means Dyson has taken the lead of the race. Heddershide stayed out there as well. There is a 7-second gap from Dyson to Foster, so that's interesting little.
Neil's in, Williams is in.
Okay, so is Dyson and Heddershide the only 2 sticking it out for the long period now? Dyson staying out for another lap. Will we see Heddershide come in? Oh, there was a bit of a moment there at the pit lane. I think Heddershide might have been thinking about coming in, but Jackson's just got underneath him. And there's been a little bit of a messy moment at pit entry between Heddershide and Jackson. A little bit of contact there. Foster's coming up to his teammate now to pass him on the actual track on those fresher tyres. He's still a good couple of seconds quicker, and Heddershide finally gets the car in.
Heddershide is in. Heddershide is in.
So watch this on the pit lane entry. I think it's on the next. Is it, or is it?
No, I don't think it's called it.
No, I think this is the aftermarket. This is where it's dropped off. So it was the lap beforehand. So yeah, it was the lap prior there. And
Dyson's in.
Okay, so that's all our leaders in. So yeah, Heddershide tried to come into pit lane, and Jackson was just making a pass underneath him. They made a little bit of contact. No major damage between the two, but that did catch them out. So this means Foster's taken the lead of the race. Urquio is going to be in second at the moment, so that's going to jump him up into P2 now. So where will Dyson come out? That's going to be the interesting one for us.
Norman's in.
So Hobson is currently a lap down. He's just a few cars behind. He's just a car behind Foster, so he's just about 9 seconds off. Wait, where am I? So he's about 10 seconds away from Foster. He's going to be trying his best to get there and get his on the lead lap at least, just in case that caution flag does fly.
Now that strategy's flipped in favour of Foster. If there's a caution now, Foster can come in the pit lane and get fresh rubbers and fuel, and he should be right to the end, and that gives him the upper hand.
Very much so. It's going to be with 63 laps remaining. Foster's on tyres that have done 30 laps now, so that's going to be a tricky one.
Yellow.
The caution is out. That's worked out perfectly for Urquio and Foster. I think it might have been Phelps, maybe. Nope, sorry.
Let's have a look and see if we can see events. Maybe Noddy?
Yes, it was Noddy Tompkins. It's just got the apron and just spun the car, and it's just gone around slowly. He's tried his best to get off the line, but it's just triggered the caution. And it's one of those that's just iRacing cautions of just, didn't really need to happen because it was not that major, but the iRacing cautions trigger when they trigger, and this has helped Foster and Urquio out an enormous amount as they're going to come in and get a nice fresh set of boots. You're going to see Hobson and Dyson probably stick it out now. They're probably going to stay out on track. But Dyson is a lap down, of course, remember. So the only cars on the lead lap will be Foster, Urquio, and Hobson. And Foster and Urquio will be on beautiful fresh tyres. That's worked out perfectly for those two.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so I would say, Hobson's going to get your lucky dog. He'll be able to pop in, grab fresh tyres as well. I imagine Foster and Urquio will grab fresh tyres. Everybody else is going to have to take the wave around to get onto the lead lap again. They won't have time to do tyres, so they're all going to be sitting on those tyres that they've just got. I think maybe 5-6 laps old. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the difference is in tyre life and what it's going to do.
Yeah, so Hobson, his tyres are 9 laps old, so they're sort of a little bit older. He's managed to get back out just in front of Urquio, so he's managed to get up into second place. So that actually, he just managed to slip through there, so that worked out well for Hobson. But as you say, a fair few cars are going to be stuck out there on some slightly older tyres. I see Maddie Ray Koch come in for some fresh boots. They're a couple of laps down, but that's going to help them out towards the end with those fresher tyres. This has really changed the playing field. Of course, now Foster and Urquio have one set of tyres left for the race. The other drivers have 2 sets of tyres. So if we get a couple more cautions, then that means that people can change the tyres a little bit later in the race and maybe have a set up their sleeve for the final stages of this race when we see what a difference fresh tyres make. So this could be a really interesting one if we get another couple of cautions.
But the other thing too, Carl, is that Foster's out there on older tyres, but it now gives these tyres a chance to cool down a little bit. So we may not see him come to the pit lane.
Who's that?
Foster.
Oh no, Foster's been in pit lane. Foster and Urquio both came in pit lane as soon as that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I missed that one.
So the data that I'm seeing is we've got in terms of how old the tyres are, Foster 2 laps, Urquio. Oh, sorry, it's just clicked over. Foster 3 laps, Urquio 3 laps, Hobson 11, Dyson 7, Micklemore 14, Hedgeshow 8, Phelps 11, Martin 14, Williams 10, and Jackson 46. So that's how many laps old their tyres are.
Paul Jackson is going to be in a world of hurt on the restart. I think it's going to be a painful night for him. But he's the first car that's a lap down as well, so he's just going to be hoping for an early caution and a lucky dog, I think. So that's his idea. But we are back to green flag racing here. As the green drops, Foster gets a beautiful launch up the front. I don't think the field had actually managed to catch up because they were all wave arounds, of course. So it is Foster in the lead at the moment. Okio in second with a few lapped cars between Hobson and the lead at the moment. But those lapped cars have got fresh tyres. So that could be a headache for Hobson.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be back there with the lap cars, and the lap cars don't have to move out of the road for him. So it'll be interesting to see who gives him the room to let him have a clear run.
That's it. It's going to be a real big battle back there. And you got somebody like Matty Ray, who's 2 laps down now, but he is on fresh tyres. He's on the same tyres as the leaders. And he is just behind the leaders. So if he sits in that position and just starts catching the field and lapping them, he'll soon find himself getting past cars and moving up the order. So that's his hope. And he is between Hobson and the leaders themselves. There is a absolute mass of battles going on with Daniel Heddershide behind him, with Koch, with Micklemore as well, and it looks like
Barry Neal.
Barry Neal, yeah.
Barry Neal,
So yeah, we've got a huge battle going on at the moment between those cars. A little bit further back, you have Paul Jackson, who's really struggling on those old tyres. He's going to be really, really struggling for pace on those ones, and that's going to be a bit of a headache to get home with.
Really have to keep your eyes on the timing data at the moment because the cars are so mixed on the track with lead lap cars and lap cars that I'm getting caught out as well. I don't know who's who really and who's where.
Exactly, it's a mix of cars that are a lap down, 2 laps down, lead lap. It's a bit of everything at the moment. We've got 9 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Stevie Dub is that final car, so he's going to be hoping for a good run. Jamie Nankervis is the current front runner of cars that are a lap down, so he's going to try and keep in that position if he can, of course. Fastest car on track at the moment is Foster. He's pulling a little bit of a gap with Urquio just behind him. So Foster and Urquio pulling a bit of a lead because, as I say, Hobson's sort of caught in a bit of a sort of situation at the moment. He's on those slightly older tyres, and he's got Matty Ray in front of him on the really fresh set of tyres, and he's just not able to make that impact at the moment. Of course, he might just be letting the tyres cure a little bit, letting them come into life. But he's got to be careful because Dyson is right behind him with Heddershide. So there's all sorts of cars that are all on different tyre lives as well. So it's an absolute mismatch of tyres out there at the moment. As we see Neil just going underneath Koch at the moment and trying to get up there to Josh Micklemore.
Barry Neal's 2 laps down though. That's in the orange 22 there. He's actually 2 laps down, whereas Josh in the 31. Blue 31 is in 6th place on the lead lap. And then in the middle is Tristan, who is 2 laps down as well. So Barry and Tristan are fighting position.
That is it, and it's all a thing of trying to position yourself now in the lapped cars as well, trying to be in a spot where you can unlap yourself as well, to try and salvage something from this race. And that's going to be the tricky thing, is you're going to have drivers that are really wanting to get back on the lead lap, or at least a lap down, and they're going to be fighting hard in that mid pack. You've got cars that are 2 laps down fighting each other, cars that are a lap down fighting each other, and you've got the leaders themselves. So it's all going to go hectic once the leaders start catching up to the back of this tail of this train of cars, which won't be too long. They are starting to close into some of these cars. Foster has only got half the track to go, and he'll start catching up to some of these sort of cars on the slightly older tyres.
It's definitely pretty scary when you're seeing lap down cars battling pretty hard in the middle, in amongst cars that are on the lead lap. Um, it would be pretty nerve wracking for those guys. But uh, in terms of lap times, it's interesting to look at that Foster and Equo on those fresher tyres, they're about zero point 0.1 of a second a lap in terms of lap time, quicker than pretty much anybody else. So that seems to be the difference, is about 0.1 of a second in lap time.
Yeah, and looking at Matty Ray as well, as I say, he's sort of on the same tyre strategy as those guys, and he's sort of pretty much setting the same times as the leaders, and it's constantly about 0.1, 0.2 of a second faster than those guys that were on the slightly older tyres, and they're just starting to struggle that little bit. One person that's not struggling at the moment is Okio. He's got some really good pace at the moment. Just set the fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago, and is setting laps much faster than Foster at the moment. He is absolutely going for it.
Maybe he needs to go for a flight every week and come back.
Go for a break over in Europe, and you come back and you're fighting for a win in the ANZCAR Cup. Mark Johansson there, the European Tourism Board activist there. So we've got it's a nightmare trying to keep track of what's going on for sixth position at the moment, because you've got Ruben Phelps trying to work his way through the cars and Jason Martin there as well. And there's about 5 or 6 cars separating those sort of three, all on different laps at the moment. You sort of glance down there and there's just a massive pack of cars at the moment, all fighting for position.
Yeah, and just a reminder as well, if you do want to see live lap time data and stuff, you can on the YouTube we have the link to the live timing webpage, and then there's a lot of good information, like last pit stop and lap times and all that sort of stuff. It's quite handy to have that up on one screen and have if you're watching the broadcast on the other screen.
Makes life a lot easier, I can say that. You sort of get an idea of what we look at as commentators. You know, we constantly got the timing charts next to us. Paul Jackson just getting lapped there again, and he's really struggling with those old tyres. He's on tyres that have done almost 63 laps now. He has really wrestling that car around, and he's just about to get past Matty Ray for position. This is a battle of the race for P13 at the moment. Matty Ray is going to be wanting to get past him shortly, and I'm sure with those fresher tyres it won't be much of a battle.
No, Matty Ray's about a second a lap quicker, so he should be able to do this job pretty quick. Yeah, myself personally, I quite like looking at the numbers. I think the numbers help tell a good story of the race, and yeah, it's like I'm fascinated by this fact that, you know, we're seeing these guys on fresher tyres as their lap times are getting slower, but it's still that 0.1 of a second a lap faster than the other people who were on those older tyres. It's just been nice and consistent drop off.
It gives you an idea of how the sort of tyres work and how you lose time over a race distance, and it's amazing what difference, you know, a couple of laps can make on these tyres. You know, it's sort of, you wouldn't think that, you know, 10 laps around here would make much difference on lap time, but it really does. You know, every 10th of a second helps, and you're seeing that now with Hobson, who's just sort of unable to catch up. He's always 3.5 seconds off the lead now, with Dyson behind him and Hedderscheid there. They're all setting pretty much consistent laps, and they're all on very similar tyre strategies as well. And that's the difference between that sort of tyre wear. We saw in the early stages they were running away with this race, but they just don't have the pace on those slightly older tyres at the moment.
No, they really need another late race caution to be able to even out the tyres and have another crack.
Yeah, those front two, Foster and Lachlan will be hoping for green flag, where everyone else may be hoping for another caution so they can get in and get tyres.
Well, I tell you what, I've been seeing Lockie dropping in and out a little bit, and his timing's going a little bit weird. So I think he'll be hoping his connection settles in and gets a bit more stable.
Yeah, it's never a fun feeling when you start having some little gremlins creep in at the latter stages of the race. And he was talking to me last night actually about those connection grumblings and some sort of little issues from getting back after such a long period away as well. It just takes time to get everything up and running with the computer. Meanwhile, there's a good battle going on between Jason Martin and Stevie Dubb at the moment. Those are fighting it out, uh, sort of fighting it out on track. Stevie Dubb's trying to get back on the lead lap at the moment. Sorry, Stevie Dubb is on the lead lap at the moment. Sorry, he's just catching up to Jason Martin. So there's a good race going on there. Micklemore and Phelps as well. They're having a little battle down for 6th and 7th at the moment as well. So there are some good battles going on throughout the track. Meanwhile, Hobson's coming back to life now. He's just getting past Maddie Ray in the 83. Mr. Sheen is keeping it very clean tonight and having a good run up there with the leaders. But this is interesting to see. Hobson coming back now and getting some speed in the car over a car with much fresher tyres. So Matty Ray, he might be a few laps down, but he is on fresh set of tyres like the leaders. Hobson, not quite got the pace to catch the leaders, but it shows that it's coming back to him a little bit. It's starting to plateau that bit with the tyre degradation, and they're starting to sort of set similar lap times now to the leaders.
Yeah, the lap times are really evened out now a lot. 23.5, 23.6 around that mark. Pretty much the top 6 were all running 23.6s. It's definitely plateaued and even out.
But you would say you'd prefer to be on those tyres that have done a little bit less work because they seem to be just working a little bit better still. But definitely starting to get to that stage where everybody's suffering from the tyre wear, and it does get to that point in the race. So, as I say, just looking through the field at the moment. So probably the closest battle is between Micklemore and Phelps, and that's sort of evened itself out a little bit. Hobson is on an absolute flyer at the moment. He's really pushing that car to the max. Actually, the fastest car on track last time around. So that just shows how much speed he's got in that car. He is really pushing it, but he's got 3.8 seconds to make up on the leaders, which is an awful lot of time with only 28 laps to go.
Yeah, he's making up a bit of time now, that's for sure.
We did see he had some really good long run pace last time round. And that's kind of where Foster was starting to struggle with that long run pace. So will we see that start to creep in again for him? Will we see Hobson starting to creep up on the leaders now? He's got a chance here. It's not going to be an easy one, but he has got a bit of a chance here to possibly get up there, maybe to second, possibly for the win if everything goes right for him. But he's really got to make that car work for himself at the moment. He has to be on it, and he has to set those times lap after lap and just be perfect around here.
We're seeing, as we see, the 09 of Norman Clark make the pass on the 8 car of Nankervis. That was for 11th position.
Yeah, Norman having a solid race tonight and working his way up through the field nicely as well. He sort of has some of the freshest tyres of those cars that didn't stop. He was one of the last cars to take a pit stop, so that's helped him a little bit in that respect. And he sort of did this in the first stint. He was just a little bit slower at the start and then had that really good long run pace. And I wonder if we're going to see that again from himself. He's got Gary Wellman in front of him at the moment. Not much of a gap between those two. And that will also be for the first car that's a lap down as well. So if Norman Clark can snag that position off of Wellman, he'll be pretty happy with that, as if the caution flag falls, it will give him a chance to get the lucky dog, of course.
Again, Norman's just doing his usual thing, sitting back there, being very nice and calm and quiet, and again coming through to be in that top half of the field towards the end.
Yeah, his constant style. He's a very smooth driver, Norman. He's very good on the just keeping the car calm as well, and that tends to be a really good strength for these slightly hotter conditions of keeping the car alive towards the latter stages where others fall off. He just keeps on plugging away and just starts moving on up. And he's doing that right now as he gets underneath Gary Wellman and looks to make the move. Does it stick? Does it stick? Looks like it is. It does indeed. It gets the move and moves up into 10th position.
Yeah, Gary didn't make that too hard there. He knew Norman had run him down and had the pace to get past him, so just ran high to let Norman get through.
Now we're going to have a battle for second place starting to shape up shortly as Urquio starting to fall back a little bit into the grasp of Hobson. So Urquio just starting to lose a little bit of pace now. And Hobson absolutely chasing him down. A good couple of attempts a lap faster as well. It's going to be a tricky one to keep in that spot for him. I think till the end of the race. 20 laps remaining here tonight. Still Foster in the lead, 3 seconds over Lachlan Urquio, 3.7 seconds ahead of Hobson, 5 seconds ahead of Dyson. So Foster's looking relatively good at the moment, but we've seen that Hobson, Dyson, and Dyson have had some really good long run pace in these cars. So these last 20 laps are going to be crucial. As Hobson looks to put himself all in the mirrors of Urquio right now, he is absolutely putting the pressure on the 42 at the moment. The 88 is getting a bit of a snap on the exit of turn 2 for Urquio, and that's going to be the moment that Hobson was looking for. He makes a big run down the inside, down the start-finish curve, and takes position, moves up into P2.
Yeah, the pace has definitely dropped out of that 42 at the moment. He just needs to hold on to it for 18 more laps for a good solid run. I think he'd be pretty happy if he can keep it into the top 5.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty ecstatic with a top 5 finish tonight. It's wasn't expected much all in all. So if he can get a top 5 tonight, I think he'll be pretty happy. Foster's now starting to put a little bit of pace back in the car. Foster's car on the track at the moment. He's got a 4-second lead over Hobson, so he's got a nice bit of lead. And he's just coming up to a couple of lap cars. It's not sort of, they're a little bit spread out at the moment. So I guess now Curvis, Tompkins, and Wellman, I think he's coming up to at the moment, but they're not super close to each other, so that shouldn't cost him too much time to get through there. So just having a look through as well, to see if there's any other battles that are reasonably close at the moment. It's fairly spread out as it stands. Phelps, Martin, and Williams are all sort of sitting in a line at the moment, with Norman Clark just behind him, but he is a lap down, of course. So it's unfortunate for Norman. He can see his competitors, but they're a lap ahead of him at the moment, which is a frustrating feeling when you're there. You're just like, oh, can't a caution come out? Just get me into the race with these guys. But he's currently sitting inside the top 10. Not much else happening on track at the moment, just some good laps coming through as it stands. 13 laps remaining here tonight at Richmond Raceway for the 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup here on Performance E-Streaming.
I think the closest battle on the track at the moment is this one on screen here. Gary Wellman in the green 45 and Jamie Nankervis in the number 8. And Gary's in 11th and Jamie's in 12th. And that is possibly pretty much our closest battle on the track at the moment.
Yeah, that's pretty much the closest one we've got as it stands. And Nankervis having a solid run tonight. He's up there, been having some good racing. Nankervis just getting up there nicely and putting the pressure on Wellman as it is, and moved up a fair few positions from qualifying as well.
Jamie's had a good season this year with ANZCAR. He's always been in that top 15 most of the season, and I'd say within the next 2 seasons you'll see him up the front trying to battle for the race leads.
A very solid pair of hands as he lets Foster through. Doesn't put too much pressure on that one, makes that move nice and easy. So just letting Foster get through, and I wonder if Wellman will be the same. And this could be useful for Nankervis if Wellman eases off as well, lets Foster through. Could give him the opportunity to make a move on there, as we see Stevie Dubb making the move on Jason Martin now.
And that will move Stevie Williams in the green 98 up to 8th position.
It will indeed. He's just sitting there now trying to close down the gap on Ruben Phelps, which is a couple of seconds at the moment. So he could possibly close that one up. Ruben Phelps, solid run up in 7th position. Started in 17th, up to P7 tonight. So he's had a really nice run tonight, and he'll be pretty happy with that, I'm sure. 10 positions gained in the race.
Don't mind me, I'm just writing notes on the fly on stuff I want to improve.
Not a problem. I'm just looking back as well because I think.
So, Carl, I've got a question for you. Real life, mate. Who's had the most wins here?
At Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
DW.
Is it Petty?
Yes. Richard Petty with 13. He's had the most top 5s. He's also had the most top 10s. He's also made the most starts. He was 63. The most poles is Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. And he's completed over 21,000 laps around here. So that's pretty impressive in real life.
That's a lot of laps to do around Richmond. That is a lot of laps.
I could think of probably 15 tracks that I'd rather do 21,000 laps around.
None of them are Richmond.
No.
The battle is still going on for the top 5. Okio's just got passed by Dyson a few laps ago, and Okio's now got Heddershide trying to close in on him with only 5 laps to go. He might be able to keep in there in 4th position for Okio on his return to the Cup Series, and I think that will be something he'll be pretty happy about.
After talking to him today, I think he would have been happy with the top 10.
There must be all that test driving for McLaren to get that position.
Yeah, that's what it was.
All that sim work he put in for McLaren.
Yeah.
They just got too many Australian drivers they want at the moment. Just looking back through the field, and as I say, I think that's going to be the battle for 4th and 5th position. I think that's going to be one of the closer ones towards the end of the race, as Heddershide is going to really want to try and snatch that 4th position off of Urquio. We've only got 2.5 laps remaining, though. It is Foster in the lead. He's got a good lead of 4.6 seconds. He has got a nice, comfortable lead at the moment as we click over. 2 laps remaining. And that worked out. That caution came out at just the right time for him in this race. Just the wrong time for everybody else. But great recovery runs from Hobson and Dyson tonight. They've done a great job of recovering that car up there. Because it was looking pretty dire after that caution came out for those boys. As I said, Ruben Phelps, a really good run up 10 positions as the white flag flies. Foster on that final lap, and most importantly, that means that no caution flag can come out here. Foster just needs to make it round another short lap here at Richmond, only 1.2 kilometres in length, so not far to go indeed. And it looks like Foster has brought his luck over from some of the other series and is finally going to get another win in the ANZCAR Cup here tonight. Foster gets the victory in the 53. Hobson gets off the corner, manages to get across the line in 2nd with Dyson in 3rd. 4th position is Daniel Heddershide. He managed to get Urquio on that last lap. Urquio manages to come home in 5th position. Valiant effort from Urquio on his return to the series. He just got a little bit loose into turn number 1, I think it was, and just got a little bit squiggly. That gave Heddershide the opportunity to make the move. Micklemore comes home in 6th position. 7th for Stevie Dubb, 8th for Martin, 9th for Phelps, and 10th for Norman Clark. So, absolute well-deserved victory donuts there for Foster, who tried a very different strategy, and it absolutely paid off for him. That caution, you could say, came out at exactly the right time for him and Urquio tonight. That really helped them out in that respect. It sort of robbed us of a little bit of seeing how that strategy would pay off with the early pit stop, but I'm sure Foster won't be complaining too much about that.
No, definitely not. I think he'll be absolutely wrapped with that. Um, great race, great plan, and really by him to try that undercut. And as you said, Carl, it kind of robbed us from a strategy race, but it's definitely worked in his favour.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much so. And you can see though, just he seemed to be struggling in the early stages of the race as well, just unable to keep pace, especially with the long runs. And that fresh set of boots really helped him out for that final run, and definitely helped him out. So let's run through the finishing order once more. As we say, it was Foster up in first with Hobson in second, third for Dyson, fourth for Hedishire, Okio in fifth with Micklemore in sixth, seventh for Williams, eighth for Martin, Phelps in ninth, 10th for Clark. And as we roll over the page, it is Gary Wellman in 11th with Dan Curvis in 12th, Matty Ray in 13th, 14th for Neil, Tompkins 15th, Koch in 16th with Jackson 17th. He got really caught out with that late caution. He managed to make it home on those tyres, did 102 laps on those tyres, so good work from Paul Jackson. Those tyres would be absolute murder at the end. We saw Michael Skurlock out the race earlier, unfortunately, with technical issues or connection issues for pretty much every driver that fell out the race tonight. For Skurlock, Russell, Traher and Dortnack, and of course we saw Pearson pulling in early as well with pedal issues. So shame for him as well.
Yeah, definitely a shame. Carl, I'm going to jump up, and Lachlan's actually jumped into the green room. I know we don't normally interview anyone out of the top three, but I think we should pull him up and just see how he's feeling after that race. What do you reckon?
Absolutely, I think he's deserved a little bit of a chat. He got enough time on the old stream tonight. Lachlan, okay, welcome back to the ANZCAR booth in the Cup Series. P5 tonight. Were you expecting to finish that high?
No, I don't even know why you got me up here. I didn't even think I did that good of a race. I thought it was pretty average at best.
Mate, that was me because I know we were talking earlier, and you said you'd be happy with a top 10. You weren't sure how you'd go. We've been flying in on Tuesday, and then racing last night, and then back to work today. You were saying you're pretty shagged, so a top 5, you've got to be wrapped with that, mate.
I'm over the moon, man. Like, in all honesty, like, I was probably happy to finish top half. I was like, before I came into the race, I thought we are going to get like 20, 25 cars. I'm like, you know what? If I can finish top 15, top 10 would be awesome. To walk away with a top 5, that's fills me with a bit of confidence that I haven't lost it yet.
Maybe I was saying earlier, maybe you need to take a trip to Europe every couple of weeks and come back and jump into the race car.
Nah, it helps that I do quite like this racetrack. It's one of my favorite ones. I've always seemed to have a bit of a knack to run around here, so got lucky with the strategy tonight and made the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. Maddie was asking me earlier how one he was wondering how the testing for the McLaren went.
Yeah, you're over the UK. We figured that you might have been testing for McLaren position or Alpine.
No. I think I have to chat with my lawyers about the Alpine seat. I can't really say too much about that one. I'm sorry.
What? Well, Carl, yeah,
I was just going to say, awesome to have you back, Lockie. Congratulations on a good night.
Cheers.
yeah. Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Cheers, boys.
Well, that was pretty good. Like as I said earlier in the broadcast, mate, happy with a top half the finish, but absolutely wrapped with the fifth place. So good on him, I say.
Indeed. Next up, we'll grab up the third place finisher, Mr. Andrew Dyson for DPR. Andrew Dyson, welcome back to the booth, and welcome to back P3 tonight. I'm sure you would have preferred to finish 2 places higher. Tricky night out there tonight.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I would have preferred to finish 2 places higher, but I bet the guy in fourth would have preferred to finish 3 places higher, so can't complain, mate.
Yeah, we saw you absolutely logging it through. You had some good long run pace, it seems. Obviously, the caution coming out when it did hurt you a fair bit.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, I guess if there's some caution gods out there, and I'm not really sure if there is or not, but they're not looking after me. So, but it's one of those things, man. That's just the way this racing goes, mate. Sometimes the cards fall your way, sometimes they don't, man. It's a bit like poker.
You got to sacrifice a few more tyres to the caution gods, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think I could have pitted that time. It wouldn't have really made any difference for me. I think I was best off staying out and just seeing what happened, really. But yeah, it didn't work out too bad in the end, anyway.
No, I was going to say, long run pace, it looked like you were really, yourself and Hobson really had some good long run pace in the cars. You're just able to get those rear tyres working well for you.
Yeah, man. I look like I might have had a tiny advantage at the end of that long run that he and I had, but it's one of those things like getting to someone's one thing and having a dip is something else. But he decided to pit. By the time I was on the back of him, he decided to pit, which is completely fair enough. And that point, we were past the halfway mark anyway. So I think we were both just kind of counting down the laps to who was going to think first, I guess.
No, that's it. It was turning out to be sort of, we were wondering how the strategy race was going to go when the caution actually came out. We were sort of talking about it, and we were looking forward to the race to the green, of course, because you managed to hang out there just that little bit longer. And it was looking pretty good for you, of course, and obviously having to fight your way through a couple of cars. It was setting up to be an interesting finish to the race. But we got some interesting passes. It looks a little bit chaotic after the restart as well. You had to fight your way past a few different cars as well through that restart.
A little bit chaotic, but it's not too out of control. It's pretty much what you expect of cars on different tires and all that sort of stuff. So it would have been worse behind me. I'm sure of that. So I didn't have it too bad.
No, it could have gone worse. That is for sure. Look, congratulations on P3 tonight. As usual, the usual thing. Shout and love out to sponsors and all that usual thing.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks to you guys for putting on the whole show and the broadcast and all the rest of it. Appreciate that. Shout out to all the boys at DPR. Full credit to those lads. Neil had a problem tonight. Shame he couldn't race. I think he would have been looking pretty good as well. Small shout out to Simrix.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, Penmax Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers. They keep us doing burnouts. Love their work. And see you next week, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see you very soon. Oh, nice and optimistic there. See you next week. That is always the optimism we
I
love.
don't mean it like that, but I hope so.
I absolutely look forward to chatting to you again, Di. So congratulations tonight, and I'm sure we'll get you back in the booth very soon.
No worries, guys. See you later.
Andrew Dyson for DPR there. Next up, we will grab up the Synergy Racing car of Brendan Hobson for his second place tonight. Harbo Hobson, welcome back to the broadcast booth. Congratulations on a P2 tonight. It was possibly looking like it could have been a bit of a win tonight had the caution fallen a little bit later or a little bit earlier, maybe. But we saw some really good pace out of you tonight and some really fun racing out there.
Hey, Carl, how's it going? It feels like it's been forever since I last spoke to you. But yeah, it was just not meant to be tonight. I think with the car to beat, probably the best car, but that doesn't always get you a win. You need the luck and strategy and things like that to play your way as well. And it just didn't quite work out, like you say. I think even another lap, maybe if that caution waited, we might have got back on the lead lap there and been a good chance. But it was what it is. Car was good, drove well, happy with the drive. Just didn't get the win. But P2 can't be unhappy with that.
That is it. Look, I mean, it's always nice to get the points, always nice to get on a podium, and it's always nice to get the win, of course. But P2 is not a bad spot to get in, and considering it looks like you may have been, when the caution fell, it could have been a lap down position, and it was sort of very higgledy-piggledy out there, and sort of everything just getting back to normal. It could have been a lot worse than it was tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a track like this, it could always be a lot worse. If you get to the finish, it's not a bad result. It's one of those sort of places where things can go wrong. It's tricky. You got to be on top of your game with downshifting and braking and particularly throttle on the exit of the corners. It's very easy to get it wrong in these cars. So yeah, just even getting a result at all's good outcome when you go to the short tracks. But they are my sort of forte, I guess. I tend to do well on them. So I came here tonight hoping for a result. I was looking to try and get the win. That was why I was here. But yeah, I mean, like you say, the points are good. That's sort of really what I was here for, because I've had a bad run, had a few crashes, and a couple of races I haven't turned up for. I've got a lot of other commitments and things at the minute. So for me, this isn't a priority to come and run in here. So coming to the chase, I thought road course last week, I'd come back in, good chance for points, and then again tonight, short track, good chance for points. So if I can keep making these ones that I should score good points at, should get me through hopefully to the chase, and we can by the time that comes around, we can start focusing on it again. So yeah, happy with the P2. Congrats to Ed, obviously. Whether he feels like he earned it or not with the way that the strategy came out, I don't know. But regardless of that, like I said to him, doesn't matter how you get him. You take the good luck with the bad. So congrats to him and good job. He did a good job. I mean, his pace was actually pretty good there at the end, regardless of a few lap better tyres. So he earned it. He did a good job, and congrats to him.
Yeah, I was going to mention that you had some really strong long run pace, and then at the end you just couldn't get back to Foster. We saw Lachlan Echo out there, same strategy as Foster, and he sort of started to fall away a bit towards the end of that stint, and Foster just managed to keep going, and we could see you guys were trying to catch him up, but just not able to sort of break that sort of 4 second gap limit.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think I had 8-lap-old tyres or something when the caution came out, so they weren't that old, but I mean, 8 laps is actually a lot. That in NASCAR, it doesn't take long. 1 lap can be all the difference on the tyres sometimes in these things. So, I was always going to struggle to catch him, and then I had to pass, 3 or 4 lap cars and whatnot before I could get some clean air and stuff too. So I didn't really ever think that I'd get to those two at the front, to be honest. But Ed in particular did a great job. He looked after his stuff and his pace. I think it was about 25, 30 laps to go. I decided to start trying to go and make some lap time and see if I could, start to worry him. But I don't think we made any time on him at all in those last 25 laps. So he did a good job. It's not easy to look after your tyres around here and maintain a pace for a long run. I think we did 50 odd laps at the end there. So no, credit to him. He did well. It's easy to blow the tyres off and lose, bulk lap time. So he certainly didn't do that.
Now, look, congratulations tonight. Well done on P2, and the usual thing, a shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, thanks to the guys in the team. SSR to J Russ, come have a run tonight. Although I don't think it went too well for him this week around, but it's always good to come and have a rip on the ovals with him. And obviously, shout out to everyone involved in the league, make it run and keep the wheels turning here. And of course, to you guys for running the broadcast, much appreciated.
No worries. Thank you so much, Hollow. We will surely speak to you again at some stage soon.
No worries, guys.
And finally, tonight, we will grab up the winner of the race for Natari, the number 53, Mr. Edward Foster. Welcome back to the booth, Mr. Foster, and congratulations on a win here at Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So, obviously, fell your way a little bit with that caution.
Not just a little bit. That couldn't have gone any better if I scripted it. Yeah, look, sometimes your luck's in, isn't it? I've had a couple of lucky results this year, and I've had a couple of really unlucky ones. So I guess it all kind of evens out in the end. You take the good with the bad, and I'll take it. But yeah, it was definitely fortune. Let's call it fortune favours the brave, because I think it was brave/stupid to pit as early as I did, but I really didn't have an option with how bad my tyres were.
I wanted to talk to you about that, because what was the plan there?
Have a swing. I basically said to Daniel, I might just have a swing at it, see what happens, because my tyre life wasn't good. I'm always crap around here. Like, this is one of my worst tracks. And, I kind of started out okay, and then Josh got round me and started to fall off pretty bad. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I can hang in behind him and hope to take a solid 5th, or I'll pit, see how much extra speed I can get out of that. Hopefully the other guys decide to run their tank out, and we'll see what happens. And if they decide to do that, I thought we were in good shape, but they all decide to pit at half distance, which of course makes perfect sense. But from that point onwards that they did that, I was stuffed. Like, it just wasn't going to work out. And I don't know if I had some sort of telepathic thing going on, but I just sort of said to myself, I'll tell you what, caution would be great about now. And literally before I'd even got the sentence out, caution. And yeah, that's how it turned out.
The rest is history from there. That final run went very well for you, though. We saw you just able to keep a little bit more pace in the car in that final run. Was there anything you were doing different?
Well, I wasn't pushing like a maniac trying to keep up the fast guys in front of me. So I knew I had the tyre advantage. I knew that Hobbo was back there, and obviously Daiso was back there, and those guys were going to have to pick their way through a bit of traffic and everything. And I had Lockie behind. So it was just sort of a case of really trying to look after the tyres a bit better than I did in the first stint when I was trying to run at a pace I really didn't have. So, yeah, that's probably what did it, is the fact that I didn't really push. I just tried to run solid laps the whole way through, and it turned out.
No, absolutely. That paid off for you in dividends. I mean, you finished 5.5 seconds ahead of Hobson at the end there, and he was trying his best to charge that down, but you're just able to keep that pace in the end there with those slightly nicer tyres than your first stint, I imagine.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, all things being equal, he probably would have won the race, but that's the beauty, I suppose, of oval track racing, where you've got the excuse me, full course cautions and things like that to mix it up. And you don't always get what you deserve in this game. It could turn on its head in a moment, and a lot of it is just trying to crystal ball as best as you can. And hey, it worked out today for us. Normally, when I take an adventurous strategy like that, it turns around and bites me, but tonight it didn't. So here we are.
Sometimes it's got to pay off, and it finally paid off for you tonight. Congratulations on the win, Ed. The usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, so thanks to AJD and Fully Floored, of course, team sponsors. Good run from all the Natari guys tonight. I think all of us got home in the top 10, so that was pretty good. And just thanks to the other drivers and the you guys putting on the broadcast and everything. Good to see you back, Carl. And that's it, I suppose.
And one of the things is this your first win this year?
Second.
Second.
I inherited the first one from a DQ,
correct.
so this is the first one I get to do the burnouts.
Yeah, the first one where you get across the line.
I was just going to say, congratulations, Ed, and it's finally good to see some luck going your way, and maybe this is the turnaround of the season for you.
Oh, look, I mean, I haven't had a lot of bad luck this year. I've sort of had the results I've deserved by and large. The latest update hasn't really suited me that well. I was a lot more competitive at the beginning of the year. I guess we just got to wait and see how it all turns out.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Congratulations anyway on the win, and well done.
Thanks a lot.
Well, end of the race there, Mark. What were your thoughts on that one?
Interesting. As Ed said, a bit of luck, and very different strategy if we hadn't have had that caution come out, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the game changer there. Matt, what were your thoughts on that one?
Oh, it's good to see a two-stop strategy or a gamble pay off when you got nothing to lose, even though it took a massive slice of luck to actually get it to pay off. But yeah, it was interesting to see what his strategy was going to be with the pits and stuff, and whether that could come off and or not. And finally got a little bit of luck to do it.
That's it. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Foster, though, he tends to be quite good and lucky sometimes, so he has both of them in his pocket. We're off to Watkins Glen next time out, I believe. So next round of the Cup will be at the Glen, one of my favourite courses. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes there. We hope you can all join us there for that round 24, isn't it? Of the season. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you so much for watching tonight for the ANZCAR Cup, brought to you by 24/7 Sim Services, and of course, Performance e-streaming as well. Big thank you to Mark Johansson and Mr. Maddie Hunter as well, doing all the work behind the scenes. I'm myself, Carl Wilkinson, with you. We wish you all a good night, and we will see you all again for Watkins Glen next time out.